Across the country, judges sworn to uphold the law have used their power, not to protect citizens, but to shield a criminal illegal invasion and those orchestrating it, leaving Americans to pay the price. Let's start with a case that should have been a turning point. Jose Inés Garcia Zarate, an illegal immigrant with 5 prior deportations and multiple felony convictions, including drug offenses and burglary, was released by San Francisco authorities under sanctuary policy despite an active ICE detainer. ICE wasn't notified. The public wasn't warned. Months later, Zarate fired a stolen federal agent's pistol on a San Francisco pier, striking Kate Steinle in the back as she walked beside her father. She died in his arms. Judge Samuel Feng presided over the state trial, where Zarate faced charges of first-degree murder, manslaughter, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. After 5 days of deliberation, the jury acquitted him of all homicide charges and convicted him only of weapons possession. Judge Feng sentenced Zarate to time served. No additional prison time, no manslaughter conviction, no meaningful consequence. That conviction was later overturned on appeal for a jury instruction error. Zarate later pleaded guilty in federal court, but again, the sentence was just time served, about 7 years in total, with probation and another deportation order. Despite what the media may tell you, this wasn't a tragic accident. It was the predictable cost of policy that protects criminals and the judges who enforce it. Next, we have Judge Shelley Joseph, who used her courtroom to sabotage federal law enforcement. In her Newton, Massachusetts courtroom, Judge Joseph aided Jose Medina Perez, an illegal immigrant with 2 prior deportations, pending narcotics charges, and an active out-of-state warrant for DUI, in evading federal custody. ICE had issued a detainer and warrant. Judge Joseph knew it, so she ordered the courtroom's recording equipment shut off, discussed ICE's presence in an off-the-record sidebar, then instructed her court officer to escort Medina Perez out the rear entrance, while a federal agent waited in the lobby to arrest him.
A representative from is here, and if you want permission for you to be
That's fine. I'm not going to allow them to come in here, but he's been released on this. What if we continue? Larry, can you go off the record for a moment?
The recording is stopped for nearly a minute, a violation of court rules.
She was indicted by a federal grand jury in 2019 on obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and aiding and abetting, a rare move against a sitting judge. Not because the behavior was unprecedented, but because accountability almost always is. She was caught red-handed. The courtroom's audio was disabled, the backdoor release was captured on security footage, and her actions were later confirmed through sworn testimony. But in 2022, under the Biden DOJ, those charges were dropped as part of a pretrial diversion agreement. Today, she faces only a judicial misconduct hearing. A bureaucratic slap on the wrist for what was, in plain terms, criminal obstruction from the bench, carried out in full view of the Commonwealth. Yet, she gets to keep her robe.
There's really no way to explain the decision to bring this case except the politics of the Trump administration.
That brings us to Judge Hannah Dugan's Milwaukee courtroom. Eduardo Flores Ruiz, an illegal immigrant previously deported in 2013, appeared on charges stemming from a violent domestic incident that sent 3 people to the hospital over the volume of music. According to the criminal complaint, Flores Ruiz punched his roommate repeatedly in the head and torso, struck the roommate's girlfriend when she tried to intervene, and injured a third person who attempted to break up the attack.
He had beat up 2 people, a guy and a girl, hit the guy 30 times, knocked him to the ground, choked him, beat up a woman.
ICE agents arrived at the courthouse that day with a valid administrative warrant. Instead of cooperating, Judge Dugan confronted the agents, questioned their authority, and directed them to the chief judge's office, deliberately stalling for time. While ICE was distracted, Judge Dugan personally escorted Flores Ruiz and his attorney through a restricted exit typically reserved for jurors and staff, a maneuver captured on courthouse surveillance footage. Flores Ruiz fled the building and was later apprehended by ICE after a foot chase through downtown Milwaukee. Dugan was arrested by the FBI and charged with obstructing a federal proceeding and concealing a person from arrest. The case is still ongoing. Judge Dugan's legal team claims she's immune from prosecution because she was acting in her official capacity. In other words, they're arguing that helping an illegal immigrant evade federal arrest from the bench isn't a crime. It's her job. While one judge helps a man flee through a back door, another helps a killer walk free through the front. German Adriano Lengadi Inga, an Ecuadorian national residing illegally in the US, was involved in a fatal DUI crash in Minneapolis that claimed the life of Victoria Eileen Harwell, a 31-year-old mother of 7. On August 3, 2024, Langari Inga, driving without a license or insurance, crossed the center line on Lowry Avenue and slammed head-on into Harwell's SUV. His blood alcohol content was more than twice the legal limit. Open beer bottles were found in his car, and this was the second hit and run he fled from that day. After this arrest, ICE issued a detainer, but once again, it was ignored.
The Hennepin County Jail released him after 36 hours when no charges were filed. A spokesperson for ICE says they'd placed an immigration detainer on Langari Inga, and the jail did not honor it or notify them.
Inga was released from custody just 2 days later. It wasn't until May 2025, 9 months after the fatal crash, that charges were finally filed. When the case landed before Judge Amber Brennan, she set bail at $100,000 and allowed Langari Inga to walk free again, despite an active ICE hold and the severity of the charges. Judge Brennan claimed he didn't appear to be a flight risk. Unsurprisingly, days later, he vanished, leaving ICE to hunt him down and take him back into custody. Victoria Harwell is gone. Her 7 children will grow up without a mother, and her sister, injured in the same crash, will carry the trauma for life. The system didn't just fail Victoria Harwell. It abandoned her on purpose. 4 cases, 4 judges, 4 criminals who never should have had another chance to harm anyone. And yet, here we are. The American people are told to obey the law while judges actively sabotage it. They're told to trust the courts while criminals are ushered out the back door. America isn't being destroyed by the criminals breaking the law, it's being destroyed by officials breaking their oath. Our system was built on checks and balances. But when one branch like the judiciary goes rogue, the balance shatters and collapse follows. Restoration will not come from within the rot. It must be forced by the will of the people and by the moral clarity to distinguish between citizen and invader, between justice and complicity, and between governance and treason. We're not witnessing incompetence. We're witnessing insurrection from the bench. The real question is simple. What are we going to do about it?